You see two black people?
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad you guys think it's okay to, like, infringe on people's rights here.
For the span of a few years, starting in the late 2010s, before ramping up heavily during the pandemic, the internet was bombarded with videos of middle-aged white women losing their tempers in public. Over time, these ladies came to be known by society at large as Karens, one of the most common white female names of Gen Xers. And while this trend appears to have died off in recent times, I wanted to look back at this phenomenon in retrospect to see if I could find a rhyme or reason to any of it. What I found was actually pretty interesting, which is what I'll dive into today. At one point in time, Karen Turner was a fairly well-respected member of the New York and New Jersey political scenes, even serving as a Port Authority commissioner for both states and leading their ethics committee. Things started to change on March 31st, 2018, when the car that Turner's daughter was riding in was pulled over in Tenafly, New Jersey. Upon a brief investigation, the officers discovered that the vehicle's registration was out of date, and thus were required to impound it. Turner was called in order to give her daughter a ride home. When she arrived at the scene, though, she became very confrontational with the authorities present, and the following 8-minute argument was caught on their dash cam.
Let's hear, why were they pulled over, first of all?
Miss.
Now, don't call me Miss. I'm Commissioner. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Yes.
All due
Why were they
respect.
pulled over?
Are you finished, ma'am?
I'm shocked.
Are you
I'm
finished?
shocked and very disappointed. Thank you for
may
your
take
help.
Them. You may take them now.
You may not tell me when to take my child. You may shut the up and not tell me when I may take my kids and her friends who are PhD students from MIT and Yale. You may tell me nothing because you told me nothing. Shame on both of you.
When this footage was made public, people began mocking Turner over the way she seemingly tried to inflate her position as commissioner to laud power over these officers, despite the fact that her role was unpaid and shared amongst multiple other people. According to sources, the Port Authority quickly began planning a meeting on what to do with this OG Karen. However, she negated any need for action on their part when she resigned just a few days after the video went public, releasing a brief statement to go along with her decision.
I let my emotions get the better of me and regret my tone towards the police officers and use of off-color language. For this, I apologize. However, at no point did I violate the Port Authority's code of ethics or ask for special treatment for anyone involved. I encourage the Tenafly Police Department to review best practices with respect to tone and de-escalation so that incidents like this do not recur.
The Port Authority and Tenafly Police Force were reportedly not very pleased with Turner's words here, viewing them as a non-apology. Nevertheless, no charges were ever laid against her as all parties seemed happy to move on. A few months later, though, a bill was passed in New Jersey, which ended the issuance of badges to non-law enforcement politicians in order to prevent an incident like this from ever occurring again. It's interesting to note that one of the earliest examples of a viral Karen also happened to actually be named Caren, as several years before the term was widely used. And while this appears to be the first instance of the name being associated with a middle-aged white woman losing her temper in public, there does not seem to be any sort of correlation between Turner's story and the popularization of the term later on. And on top of that, her name starts with a C and not a K, so it's different. But still, this is just the very top of the rabbit hole. On a warm day in April of 2018, a group of people gathered together for a barbecue at Lake Merritt, a park located in Oakland, California. What would ordinarily be a lighthearted and fun get-together quickly soured when an uninvited guest arrived at the scene. What must be understood is that the majority of the attendees were black, something that seemed to be of great interest to one woman who was watching this unfold. As people began arriving at the park, they noticed a white woman watching them from a distance, appearing to talk on her phone for multiple hours. This woman would later be identified as Jennifer Schulte. As one man walked up, he allegedly overheard her calling him the N-word as he passed, although this claim was later walked back. The woman then allegedly approached the group in order to confront them, demanding that they leave immediately. She claimed that the charcoal grill they were using was illegal in the area, although everyone in attendance pushed back against this notion. They continued arguing this point back and forth, neither side backing down. It was at this point that Michelle Dion, the wife of one of the partygoers, arrived and began filming the woman's attempt to contact authorities. Things escalated when Dion presented Schulte her business card, which she allegedly snatched out of her hand and did not return when asked for it back.
She just took a card out of my hand so that she could try and get this guy.
No, you offered it to show it to me.
I showed it to you. I didn't say take it out of my hand. You stole the card. Can you please give it back? Because I would like it.
Sure, I'll just take a picture. Please do not touch me, otherwise I will call 911 for assault.
How about you give me the card without being a doxing ass?
After this, Schulte left the park and met with police outside a nearby convenience store, where she was recorded sobbing uncontrollably as she spoke to the officers. They soon left without any charges being filed, although Schulte allegedly returned later in the day, continuing to make her same demands to no avail. The video of the incident spread on the internet rapidly, with the woman featured dubbed BBQ Becky. What you'll notice about these early middle-aged women freakouts is that their viral names seem to focus on the use of alliteration rather than stereotypical names from that demographic. Schulte's identity was soon doxed as people began searching for her place of work. Some people tracked her to Stanford University, where it was believed that she was a professor. However, the school quickly stepped in to clarify that she had only earned a degree from them and had never been a member of the faculty. According to her LinkedIn profile before it was deleted, Schulte worked as an air quality specialist, explaining her disdain for the charcoal grill. While it can't be said for certain, a few sources have reported that she was fired. The Oakland community rallied behind the people who filmed the video, organizing an event at Lake Merritt the following month named Barbecuing While Black.
A lot of people I talked to out here today said this barbecue wasn't about making a broad stand against racism. They had a very specific message.
Stop calling the police and mind your own business.
Schulte herself remained silent on the matter, retreating from the public eye. Unlike other examples of viral Karens, she has never spoken out to give her side of the story. Today's video is sponsored by my own company, 1UP, the definitive all-in-one face cream. To explain why I created this product, let's rewind back 2 years when I was looking to include a skincare regimen into my life, but found that the skincare industry was extremely confusing, with companies trying to upsell you with dozens of products. Not only was using all this expensive, but also time-consuming, which made me wonder why couldn't all of the best ingredients be put into one bottle that I can apply to my face once a day and then get on with my life. Surprisingly, what I was looking for didn't really seem to exist, so I assembled a team to design the product I am now holding, which I'm quite proud of. This cream packs quite a punch and includes a plethora of ingredients to moisturize, boost, strengthen, protect, and tone your skin. So if you're looking for a straightforward way to self-improve and help your skin for decades to come, I suggest clicking the link down below and trying it for yourself. And if you use my promo code GFM at checkout, you'll receive free shipping on your order. Jumping forward to June of 2018, an 8-year-old Jordan Rogers decided to make some money by selling bottles of water on the street outside her San Francisco home. According to her family, the child had the goal of funding a trip to Disneyland. While this may sound on the surface like a charming and uplifting tale, not everyone felt that way. Allison Edel, a local woman who happened to be working from home on that day in question, came outside and allegedly began asking the girl and her mother, Erin Austin, if they had a permit to be making these sales. When they said no, Edel and Austin both pulled out their phones, the former to call the authorities, the latter to record the event.
This woman don't want to let a little girl sell some water. She calling police on an 8-year-old little girl. You can hide all you want. The whole world gonna see you, boo.
Yeah, and illegally selling water without a permit? Yeah.
On my property.
It's not your property.
The video was soon posted online by Jordan's cousin, who added a hashtag dubbing Edel Permit Patty. Onlookers quickly flocked in by the thousands. This was only a couple of months separated from the BBQ Becky fiasco, and thus gained a very similar sort of attention due to the fact that Allison was white and the people she had been arguing with were black. Internet sleuths soon deduced Edel's identity and found out that she was the CEO of a cannabis company known as Treat Well Health, a position from which she resigned from only a few days later. As the firestorm raged, it wasn't long until Edel spoke out in order to add a little more context to the situation. According to her, the reason she had even gone outside to engage with Jordan in the first place was because she was trying to focus while working under extreme tight deadlines for several hours, but was unable to concentrate with the child yelling outside her window. On top of this, she also claimed to have been bluffing when she called the police, and her motivations had nothing to do with race. That assertion was later called into question when the audio from the 911 call was leaked online.
Hi, I'm having someone that does not have a vendor permit that's selling water across from the ballpark.
While Edel did offer an apology to Jordan and her mother, they both declined. As for how the situation turned out for them, the story soon caught the attention of musician Jonathan Brannon, who decided to gift Jordan with the trip to Disneyland she had been working so hard towards.
Over the weekend, she got some good news.
They know you want to go to Disneyland, and they bought you 4 tickets to go.
On October 10th, 2018, 9-year-old Jeremiah Harvey went shopping with his mother at a local bodega in New York City. As they left the establishment, they passed by a woman standing at the checkout counter named Teresa Klein. An altercation quickly broke out between the two parties, with Klein accusing the child of grabbing her inappropriately as she walked past. Eventually, she picked up her phone in order to call the police, which is when bystanders pulled out their own devices to record.
That's right, the son grabbed my ass.
Go home. Make her go viral.
She's nasty.
Make her go viral.
You're a pedophile.
Make her go
You're a
viral.
pedophile. You're a pedophile.
Calling police.
This is a
For the little
pedophile.
kid bust her
You're a
ass.
pedophile. Go home.
When asked for comment on whether or not the 911 call had actually been made, New York City authorities claimed that they had no record of her in their system. That being said, there are conflicting reports saying that police did arrive at the scene, although no incident report was ever filed. After this all became public, many of Klein's former neighbors began speaking out and claiming that she had a history of calling 911 over petty squabbles. In fact, a reporter by the name of Andrew Ramos decided to visit Klein's apartment in order to verify these claims, resulting in the police allegedly being called on him as well. For the next couple of days afterward, Klein stuck to her guns and claimed that she had been sexually assaulted by the 9-year-old, and that Jeremiah's mother had actually been the instigator of the argument. But things changed when she was invited back to the bodega in order to view the security footage from the day in question. Surrounded by a crowd of people who all hated her, Klein watched the tape which clearly showed the boy's backpack brushing up against her as he walked by. To give her credit, Klein soon apologized to Jeremiah, but made sure to be clear that she still had a beef with the boy's mother. In fact, she threatened legal action against her for allegedly threatening her life in the moments just before the infamous video was taken, although it appears this lawsuit never came to fruition. On the night of October 13th, 2018, St. Louis resident Darian Tolles returned to his apartment complex after a long day of work. But as he attempted to enter the building, he found an unexpected obstacle in his path. Hillary Mueller, a fellow resident who demanded that Tolles provide proof that he actually lived there.
You can film me, that's fine.
I understand that, but you're blocking me.
Into my building.
Okay, and
Okay.
it's my building as well, so I need you to get out my way.
Okay, what unit?
I don't need to say that information. I'm on the 4th floor. Excuse me.
No. You don't have a key fob. You are... No.
No. Ma'am.
If you have that, then okay.
Ma'am, you're not security. You're not the property manager. You're not
No,
Mike
but
Herman.
I live here.
Okay, and I live here too. You're not Mike Herman.
He was eventually able to get past her, but she was not finished just yet. Mueller decided to follow Tolles all the way to his apartment in order to confirm his story. She finally relented after witnessing Tolles unlock his door and go inside, although it was reported that she also called 911 following the incident. According to Tolles, police showed up to his apartment later in the night in order to investigate a report that he had made his neighbors uncomfortable. While authorities confirmed that the call had been placed, it did not result in any sort of charges being filed. Regardless, the damage had already been done. Tolles uploaded his video to Facebook, where millions of viewers dubbed his harasser Fob Kelly. It probably goes without saying that Mueller's life was turned upside down once her identity became public. Tribeca STL, the real estate management firm at which she worked, confirmed that she had been let go in the span of roughly a day. As the news cycle kept on turning, Hillary chose to speak out in an interview in order to defend herself. According to her, the situation had been a bit more nuanced than it appeared in the initial video. On the night in question, she had been standing by the building's front door, holding it open a crack in order to allow her dog to relieve itself outside. It was then that tolls arrived on the scene, attempting to enter the lobby without using the required key fob since the door was already open. Hillary claimed that, according to the condo association's directions, residents were not to allow anyone inside the building if they did not recognize them. When Tolles refused to present his key fob, she became suspicious. In addition, it was revealed that the initial coverage of Hillary's identity may not have been entirely accurate. While most early sources stated her last name to be Mueller, that was soon changed to Thornton once it was discovered that she had been separated from her husband, Brandon Mueller, for over a year. According to some sources, Hillary had been trying to use the fact that she was married to a person of color to dodge the label of racist. But Brandon quickly stepped in to offer his own statement on the matter, condemning his ex-wife's behavior.
As a man of color, I've spent most of my professional career teaching others the importance of diversity and inclusion. My only hope is that we as a community can use this as an opportunity to do what my late father taught me many years ago, to not allow others' ignorance to incite anger and hatred.
Despite claiming that her actions against Tolles were not racially motivated, Hillary was still placed into the same camp as the previous other viral incidents from earlier that year. While her story is not nearly as well remembered as some of the others, it seems as though her life wasn't any less ruined by it, whether the response was warranted or not. And this incident is what I like to call the end of the classic era of Karens, as new stories in the genre died out for well over a year. That all changed though when the global pandemic struck in 2020, and a new wave of outbursts began rocking the internet, with the Karen moniker truly being solidified. It was the height of the lockdowns in 2020, and businesses around the world were cracking down on safety regulations in order to prevent the spread of COVID. The vast majority of stores began mandating that all of their customers wear masks at all times while shopping at their establishments, a decision which proved controversial amongst a large group of people and caused arguments between business management and clientele. One such example happened in May of that year, when Shelley Lewis wanted to go shopping at a Gelson store located in Dana Point, California. When she was denied entry for not wearing a mask, she decided to take out her phone in order to record this perceived injustice.
Hi, I have a medical condition that I'm not allowed to wear a mask, and I'm not required by HIPAA rules and regulations to disclose that.
Okay, can we shop for you?
So, what does that look like? I have private things I want to get that maybe I don't want you to see.
For you, but I can't let you in the store without a mask.
Okay, so where's the regulations that state that?
The regulations?
Yeah.
That is company
Because you're discriminating against me now. Do you know that? You're discriminating against me.
We can help you.
No. Well, good. I mean, I'm glad you guys think it's okay to like infringe on people's rights here.
Lewis uploaded this video to her Facebook page, seemingly believing that the world would be as outraged as she was. But it soon left its target audience when it was shared on sites like Twitter and Reddit, where users mocked her endlessly for what they deemed to be an overreaction on her part. This was also around the time that the term Karen entered the popular lexicon, which led her to being given names such as Anti-Mask Karen and Gelson's Karen. When people inevitably started digging into her background, they discovered some interesting details about Shelley's other beliefs. Not only was she a flat earther, but was apparently quite prominent in that community. She had been listed as a featured speaker at 2019's Flat Earth Conference, where it was mentioned that she had served as an Army paratrooper for 5 years, before being honorably discharged. In addition, she had organized a fundraiser to create a pro-Flat Earth documentary that same year, although it appears it never came to fruition. With the increased level of scrutiny now placed upon her after the incident, Lewis decided to completely wipe her presence off the Flat Earth, and has not been heard from since. On May 25, 2020, Christian Cooper traveled to New York Central Park in order to do a bit of bird watching. On that same day, an investment banker by the name of Amy Cooper, no relation, was walking her dog in an area of the park known as the Ramble, a very popular spot for bird watching. While dog owners are required to keep their pets leashed at all times in the Ramble, many people do not obey this rule, leading to multiple disputes between them and local birders. And yes, that is the term for bird watchers. When Christian arrived at the park, he discovered Amy's Cocker Spaniel running free. He quickly confronted her about this, asking the woman to put the dog on a leash. She pushed back on this request, claiming that all the dog runs were closed and that the other areas where her dog could run around unleashed were too dangerous. This is when Christian flatly stated, "If you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want, but you're not going to like it." After that, the birder reached into his bag and pulled out a dog treat, which he kept on his person for just this sort of situation. He began luring the canine towards him, causing Amy to panic and grab her pet by the collar. This was when Christian pulled out his phone and started recording.
"There is an African American man. I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. And I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the ramble. Please send the cops immediately." Police
did arrive on the scene shortly thereafter, but by that time both parties had already left. While Christian at first seemed content to let the situation end there, his sister Melody, whom he had shared the video with, had other ideas. She posted the out-of-context clip on Twitter, where it soon spread like wildfire, and Amy was dubbed Central Park Karen. It certainly didn't help her case that the incident occurred the same exact day that George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis. Due to Amy's emphasis on Christian's race during her phone call to police, the two events ended up getting clumped together. For Amy, the mob justice was swift. Her employer, the investment firm Franklin Templeton, posted a public statement the following day announcing that she had been fired, adding that they do not tolerate racism of any kind. The Abandoned Angels Cocker Spaniel Rescue, the organization which Amy had adopted her pet in the first place from, also announced that she had voluntarily surrendered the animal back to their care, although it would eventually be returned to her. Amy also soon released a public apology on the matter, working with a PR firm in order to hopefully salvage some of her reputation.
It was unacceptable, and I humbly and fully apologize to everyone who's seen that video. Everyone that's been offended. Everyone who thinks of me in a lower light, and I understand why they do.
While Christian himself publicly stated he accepted the apology, many people still called for Amy to see justice in actual court. A couple of months later in July, the former investment banker faced charges of filing a false police report, which had the potential of sending her to jail for a year. However, these charges would be dropped in February of 2021 after Amy attended a series of classes about racial justice and equality. Following this, the story faded from the public consciousness as all parties seemed to move on with their lives. But in November of 2023, Amy Cooper came out of hiding in order to write an opinion piece for Newsweek about the ways in which her life had been forever altered by what had happened in 2020. According to her, she was still receiving death threats years after fleeing New York City, and keeping as low of a profile as possible. To make matters even worse, the Central Park incident has made it next to impossible for her to hold a job in her field. In an attempt to defend herself, Amy also clarified many previously unreported details from that fateful day. According to her, the reason she had repeated Christian's race so many times to the 911 operator was because the phone signal in the ramble was so weak that she was having trouble getting through. She also mentioned several other dog owners, including a man named Jerome Lockett, who had previous negative experiences with Christian. She ended her op-ed by asking forgiveness and denouncing the word Karen. On June 7, 2020, the residents of Livermore, California were participating in their regular farmers market. One of the vendors in attendance that day was Dan Floyd, who operated a small stand called Dan Good Cookies. In addition to selling baked goods, he also handed out small gay pride flags to anyone who visited his booth. This eventually caught the attention of Gail Hayden, the director of the California Farmers Market Association, who confronted Floyd about what he was doing.
But like I said, I'm not going to show up with the flags again without telling you. Like, obviously,
I have an option. Nobody else has flags. That should have been a clue.
I don't think that makes any sense, Gail. Like, I am an LGBT member of our community, and this is something that's important
I don't
to me.
even care what the flags are for. My job is to run the market, not to satisfy your political point of view. And you can do your political point of view anytime you want to. You can come stand on this corner another time. But these people are brought here by the farmers. And so we have to have rules. And the fact that you haven't read the 30 pages is disturbing to me.
It goes without saying at this point that the clip was posted to the internet, where it was shared amongst millions of people who rallied in support of Floyd and lambasted Hayden for what they deemed to be vindictive and petty behavior. Gail's daughter Kayla, who also happened to be the CFMA's senior market manager, quickly spoke up in defense of her mother. According to her, the incident had nothing to do with homophobia. Children at the farmers market had allegedly been using the flags as makeshift swords and had begun to injure one another. On top of that, according to the market's regulations, passing out petitions and flyers was strictly prohibited outside of the designated free speech zone. But this explanation was not satisfactory to Floyd and his supporters, who continued calling for action to be taken. The pressure eventually got to be so great that the CFMA announced that they would be resigning as the organizers of the Livermore Farmers Market, and the event would be temporarily shut down until a new organization could be found to lead. In a statement to the press, Gail Hayden expressed her regret at how the situation had been handled.
While we were focused on enforcing the market's rules, we neglected to see the bigger picture Dan was expressing with his pride flags. The LGBTQ+ community deserves a tolerant environment to express and celebrate their identity.
It seems as though Floyd made it out of the situation as the clear victor. Not only had his opponent stepped down, but sales of his cookies skyrocketed as a result of the media attention. On June 10, 2020, another incident happened in California, this time Torrance. It all started when a local woman by the name of Sherry Berry decided to travel to the nearby Wilson Park in order to do some exercising. Upon arrival, she set her phone on the ground to film her workout routine. This is when a wild Karen appeared.
Jesus.
While Berry shut off the recording after this, she quickly started it back up once she realized that this situation was rapidly escalating.
Next time you ever talk to me like that, you're gonna get your ass kicked by my family. They're gonna f you up.
What did I do?
Right. They're gonna f you
Why?
up.
What did I do?
Because you are an asshole. Look at the whole stairs to
But
yourself.
you had these
Why
stairs
don't
and
you go
that
somewhere
stairs?
else where you can go to a gym? This is not just for you.
Oh, you
Get
need
the f out of this world. Get the f out of this state. Go back to whatever f***ing Asian country you belong in.
Okay, race.
Berry, of course, uploaded it to the internet where it exploded in popularity. Even Torrance's mayor spoke up, claiming that the police would be investigating the incident. Predictably, people wanted to hear what the disagreeable woman in the video, later identified as Lena Hernandez, had to say for herself. They began scouring the internet in order to unearth her docs, but as it would soon turn out, this search was unnecessary. Merely a day after the initial viral video, a new clip was uploaded by another Torrance resident showcasing a separate encounter with Hernandez.
Did you just make a racist comment?
You know what? I am not a racist person.
You just made a
But you know
racist
what?
comment.
You need to go home.
I am from here.
Look it. Go home.
I am here from here.
Go home. I don't care about your Facebook or your video.
Oh, okay. You're
Do you
making
know
a
how
racist
many
comment
people
right
can't
now?
stand you being here?
Great.
You play games. We don't play games.
Oh, what kind of game are you playing?
I play games where you get to death.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, great. You are. I think you're going.
Understand me, kind of man? You understand me, kind of man?
Respect. Respect people.
Respect.
Lady.
I can't understand your language.
Respect. Lady.
Respect. Then you move your car.
Allegedly, this was recorded on the very same day in the very same park as the first video. Yes, by all accounts, Hernandez had become a menace to the entire city, leading social media users to give her the name Torrance Karen. But as would soon be discovered, this sort of behavior was far from a new development for her. When the clip started going viral on sites like Twitter, a third Torrance resident named Casey Lynn Salmoneo immediately recognized the culprit. Apparently, she had previously encountered the internet's newest Karen at the Del Amo Mall back in October of 2019. According to her, she had seen Hernandez verbally accosting a mall employee. When Salmoneo stepped in to intervene, the enraged Karen aggressively shoved her to the floor before leaving the scene. While the victim said that she had spoken with police at the time, the investigation ultimately turned up no leads. But with Hernandez now thrust into the national spotlight, law enforcement was finally able to catch up with her. She was arrested on July 3rd, 2020, although she was released later that day on a bail of $1. Following the trial process, Hernandez ended up being sentenced to 47 days in jail, 3 years of probation with mandatory anger management classes, and was banned from going within 100 yards of the mall or her victim. Many were outraged by the sentencing, including the woman that she shoved.
That's how they value us, Asian Americans. That's how they value our safety. It's disappointing they would do just the bare minimum.
In May of 2021, Hernandez returned to court in order to petition that her sentence be altered. According to her, she was unable to pay for the anger management therapy. Taking pity, the judge decided to sentence her to 80 hours of community service instead. In addition, her probation was reduced from 3 years to just 1. On June 12, 2020, a Twitter user by the name of James Juaneo posted a video of a confrontation he recently had with two people in the neighborhood of Pacific Heights, San Francisco, when they caught him stenciling a message of support for Black Lives Matter in chalk outside his home.
And you don't know if I live here or if this is my property?
We actually do know. That's why we're asking.
Oh, really? Because you live here, right? You said so.
Because we know the person who does live here.
Oh, okay.
So
then I suggest you call him or call the police.
Well, we're not doing anything illegal.
Neither am I.
Actually, you are actually.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, then call the cops.
Thank you. We will do
Lisa and Robert.
Yeah.
I'll be right here.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Of course, the clip rapidly went viral as social media users began tracking down the people featured in it. The woman was soon identified as Lisa Alexander, the founder and CEO of LaFace Skincare, while the man was discovered to be her husband, Robert Larkins. As soon as their names were made public, anyone associated with the couple were quick to sever ties. Not only did the company Birchbox announce that they would no longer be working with Alexander's brand, but the LaFace website temporarily went offline. Larkin's employer, the investment firm Raymond James, also released a public statement saying that he had been fired due to the incident.
After an investigation into the circumstances of a video alleging racism by one of our associates, we have concluded that the actions of he and his partner were inconsistent with our values, and the associate is no longer employed with Raymond James.
Things became even worse for the couple a month later when the audio from the call Larkins made to the neighborhood police was made public. Despite Alexander claiming in the video that she knew who lived in the house, this tape revealed that that was actually not the case.
That's wonderful if he wants to do that on the street or on the sidewalk, but this is somebody... Yes.
Do you know who lives at the house?
I don't.
It should be noted that James was actually a renter of the property. As the situation spiraled out of control, Alexander and Larkin soon released public apologies in an attempt to soften the blow.
When I watched the video, I am shocked and sad that I behaved the way I did. It was disrespectful to Mr. Giuliano, and I am deeply sorry for that. I did not realize at the time that my actions were racist, and have learned a painful lesson.
While James did say he was willing to talk face-to-face with the duo, they quickly disappeared from the public view after saying their piece. That is until very recently, when Alexander posted a new statement to the About section of the LaFace websites, going into previously unmentioned details from the incident. According to her, James had never actually made an effort to speak to her in private, despite his claims to the contrary. She also claimed to have been the victim of endless harassments, including one occasion in which masked men armed with baseball bats and shotguns attempted to break into her house. Conveniently, no public record of this alleged crime can be found, as she apparently felt that calling 911 would only increase the media scrutiny against her and her husband. Because apparently getting roasted on Twitter is a much worse fate than armed men breaking into your house. She is now attempting to rebuild LaFace's image from the ground up and rehabilitate herself in the eye of the world. While it's true many people have already moved on from the incident, it's impossible to know if she will ever be able to shake it fully. Despite the fact that very few people were on Alexander's side, it was around that time that the term Karen began to receive some pushback in the media. Critics, mainly consisting of white female journalists, began calling it misogynistic and racist, particularly people actually named Karen, who felt like their lives were being negatively impacted by the growing meme. Of course, these dissenting voices did nothing to stop the rolling snowball, but it served to show just how much of a cultural impact was being made in a relatively short period of time. In June of 2020, the American public's distrust in the police force was at an all-time high, and officers were beginning to feel the pressure. On the morning of the 15th, Sheriff's Deputy Stacey Talbert in the state of Georgia decided to go live on Facebook, following a particularly triggering experience at McDonald's.
The girl comes to the window and asks me what my order was. I repeat my order and my coffee. They asked me to pull up because my food's not ready. It's an English muffin meal with a hash brown and coffee. A girl comes out with my coffee and just the coffee. And she hands it to me, and I have my window down, and that's all she hands me is the coffee. So I told her, I said, don't bother with the food because right now I'm too nervous to take it. It doesn't matter how many hours I've been up. It doesn't matter what I've done for anyone. Right now I'm too nervous to take a meal from McDonald's.
This obviously irked the people who saw the stream, who began sharing it around the internet. Viewers gawked as this officer of the law broke down in tears purely because her fast food order took a little bit too long. Her critics wondered how Talbert could lack so much self-awareness. This earned her the nickname Officer Karen. When the owners of the McDonald's in question caught wind of this story, they reached out to Talbert to see if there was any way to make things right. While the two parties sorted things out amicably in private, the officer decided to speak out publicly about the response to her stream. According to her, people had completely missed the point of what she was trying to say.
It's not that people are waiting in the wings to hurt us. It's that people don't trust us. Everybody lost the whole point of the video. I'm just so sick of people being mean.
For a bit, she appeared to be taking the internet mockery in stride, describing it as kind of funny. But that quickly changed a few days later when Talbert claimed that both her and her daughter had been receiving threats following the continued virality of the video. It got so bad that her fellow officers had to keep watch of her home in order to make sure that nobody actually tried to hurt her. Although it seems as though all of those threats were confined to the internet, as the public's attention was pulled to the next big story. It was December of 2020, and jazz musician Keyon Harold was staying in Manhattan's Arlo SoHo Hotel with his 14-year-old son. On the morning of the 26th, the two went down to the lobby for breakfast. But what started as an ordinary day quickly took a turn for the worse when they encountered a woman by the name of Mia Ponsetto, igniting a devastating series of events. It all started when Ponsetto noticed that her iPhone was missing. As she searched for it, she noticed Harold's son also had an iPhone. She approached them to ask about this wacky coincidence, and the confrontation quickly became heated. The hotel manager stepped in to try to de-escalate, which is when Harold began recording.
Please. Show me this is my phone. Show me. No.
You don't have to explain nothing to her.
Take the case off. That's mine. Literally, get it back. Please.
Are you kidding me? You feel like there's only one iPhone made in the world?
No. Okay, then show me the.
No,
show me all my...
you get a life
over there. No, what's on your background? He's not leaving. Show me the proof.
Are you kidding me? You better get on. Let's go, kid.
I'm sorry.
Better get on. We have what you see two black people.
No, I'm not letting him walk away with my phone.
Wait, don't fight. Better get on somewhere.
No, please get my phone back. I cannot not have my phone.
Listen, get your ass.
The video cuts off just as Ponsetto could be seen lunging at the father and son. Harold claimed that the Karen scratched him and tackled and grabbed his child. Only a few days later, security camera footage was released, which seemed to verify this account. To make matters worse, Mia's phone was returned to her not long after the altercation, as she had accidentally left it in an Uber. Police quickly began searching for the freshly dubbed SoHo Karen, asking viewers of the now viral video if they had any information on her identity or whereabouts. As the media firestorm raged, Ponsetto actually decided to speak out in her defense, conducting an interview on CBS This Morning, in which she was accompanied by her lawyer. Unfortunately for her, this did not clear her name in the way she probably hoped that it would.
Okay, so basically, I'm a 22-year-old girl. Racism how is one girl accusing a guy about a phone a crime?
Upon discovering her location, authorities from New York traveled to California in order to get their target, and Mia was soon arrested at a traffic stop. According to authorities after the fact, the SoHo Karen continued driving for 2 blocks while being hailed, before finally deciding to pull over. She then refused to exit her vehicle when asked, allegedly slamming the door and forcing the officers to drag her from the car. She was initially charged with attempted robbery, grand larceny, acting in a manner injurious to a child, and 2 counts of attempted assault. But it wasn't until July of 2021 that Ponsetto was formally indicted on 2 counts of unlawful imprisonment as a hate crime, aggravated harassment, and endangering the welfare of a child, to which she pleaded not guilty. Her lawyer described these charges as absurd and a perversion of our legal system. If things couldn't get worse for the 22-year-old, the Harold family then opted to file a civil lawsuit against their alleged attacker, which appears to be ongoing. As for the criminal charges, after nearly a year of legal difficulties, Ponsetto finally decided to strike a plea deal with the prosecutors in April of 2022. She pled guilty to unlawful imprisonment as a hate crime and was sentenced to probation, court-mandated counseling, and was told to avoid interactions with the criminal justice system from that point onward. After that, she seemed more than happy to disappear from the spotlight. On July 10, 2021, a woman named Ijeoma Ukenta posted a video to YouTube of an encounter she had with a stranger while shopping at Victoria's Secret in New Jersey's mall at Short Hill. The clip was originally uploaded to TikTok, but her account was automatically banned due to the content. The video titled Caren Goes Crazy Part 1 did not show the inciting incident which kicked off the serise of events.
Oh God, no, it's you, now you are, oh my God! Oh my God! Do you see this? Oh my God, I never thought nothing like this would happen to me. She just tried to run and hit me. And now she... Did you see her? No! I'm scared to even approach her. You scaring me. Like you gotta go postal.
As time progressed, Ukenta posted more and more clips from her encounter with this woman who eventually called the police.
Look at this. Get away from me! Oh, y'all better get this lady!
Authorities eventually did arrive on the scene and attempted to defuse the situation, separating the two women. It's important to note that despite police involvement, no charges were ever filed. The videos quickly exploded in popularity, with the first one gaining over 2 million views. The general public appeared to take Ukenta's side, labeling her assailant Victoria's Secret Karen. The woman in question was identified as Abigail Elphick, and it was later reported that the entire ordeal had started simply because she had been asked by Ukenta not to stand so close to her while shopping. Seemingly emboldened by the overwhelming support of the internet, Ukenta soon started a GoFundMe page in order to sue Elphick, the mall, and all others who wronged her. The campaign raised over $100,000 from people who wanted to see justice done. However, not everyone was on her side. You see, when the video started going viral, there were some viewers who took pity on Elphick. They viewed her behavior as a legitimate breakdown from a mentally ill woman, rather than the entitled temper tantrum that Ukenta was framing it as. And when the lawsuit was finally filed in 2023, the alleged Karen's lawyer opted to take the same angle. According to the legal paperwork, Elphick was housed in a complex designed to help those suffering from mental disabilities. She reportedly had a long history of medical and psychological conditions, and was worried that Ukenta's video could jeopardize her living situation, hence her outburst. The opposing lawyer, meanwhile, argued that Elphick's mental state was irrelevant, and that she had intentionally endangered their client's life by calling the police on a black woman. As of writing, this is where the situation stands. It appears at this point that things could easily go either way, both in terms of the court's decision and the public perception towards the supposed Karen. As the pandemic began to subside, so did the Karen sightings. It seemed that the trend was on the way out, but there was one last straggler that appeared on May 12, 2023. This is when a video was posted to Twitter that quickly exploded in popularity, depicting a heated argument between a white woman and a group of black teenagers in Manhattan over who had possession of a rented Citi bike.
No, record it.
Help! Help me! Please help me!
It's not your bike.
Please help me!
It's not your bike. It's not your bike.
Please help me! Help! Please get off me!
Hey, what the f is going on, bro?
Please get off me!
Yo, don't not take it, bro. Now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Yeah, now you're not getting the bike. Help!
You're not getting
Get
the
off
bike.
me,
I'm
dude.
not.
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
You're
Don't touch his phone. Do not touch his phone.
I'm not touching you. You put it your stomach.
It only received more attention when a civil rights attorney shared it, including the caption.
This is unacceptable. A white woman was caught on camera attempting to steal a Citi bike from a young black man in NYC. She grossly tried to weaponize her tears to paint this man as a threat. This is exactly the type of behavior that has endangered so many black men in the past.
The majority of onlookers viewed this as yet another cut-and-dry case of a white woman acting entitled, and believed the teen was the one who had rightfully paid for the rental bike. The lady, dubbed Citi Bike Karen, was soon identified as a physician's assistant by the name of Sarah Comrie. As you probably already guessed, she began receiving copious amounts of threats and harassment from viewers of the video, and her employer, Bellevue Hospital, placed her on leave while they reviewed the situation. But what seemed on the surface like another obvious Karen incident was quickly turned on its head when Comrie's lawyer, Justin Marino, released evidence which showed a different version of events. According to the receipts he provided, Comrie had actually been the one to pay for the rental bike, only for it to be relocked back into the docking station a minute later. He alleged that the group of youths that she was seen arguing with had claimed that the bike was theirs, after she had paid for it and forced it back into the station, igniting the viral argument. He also added the detail that Comrie was 6 months pregnant, asking why someone in her condition would want to start a fight with a group of strangers. In response to this, one of the teens from the video, identified only as Michael, decided to share his side of the story. As he told it, he and his friends had been riding around New York City on city bikes all day, making sure to dock them every 45 minutes in order to avoid the extra extended rental fee. While they were waiting at one of these stations for their time to reset, Comrie allegedly approached them and asked if she could take one of their bikes, to which they said no. This is when he claims that she pushed past him in order to scan the QR code and claimed the bike for herself. A scuffle then ensued, resulting in the bike being forced back into the station by Michael. When he tried to take his phone and rent the bike for himself, Comrie allegedly snatched the device from his hand, which is when all hell broke loose. This is essentially where the story ends, as no charges were filed and no lawsuits attempted. While we may never know for certain what happened that day, it seems as though many people have changed allegiances and now view Sarah Comrie as the victim of the situation rather than the instigator. And with that, the Karen trends seem to stop entirely. While I'm sure there's filmed freakouts worthy of the moniker still being produced, I feel the cultural zeitgeist has shifted so people just don't really care that much anymore. The early Karens seem to be a side effect of the anti-SJW freakouts of that era, like Triggly Puff and Aid Skrillex, while the COVID resurgence was fueled by social unrest and people being cooped up inside their house needing something to gawk at. That being said, the "I'd like to talk to the manager" meme is well over a decade old at this point, and is an earlier iteration of the entitled middle-aged white woman trope. It'll be interesting to see if these stereotypes persist as Gen X matures and millennials move into middle age, which I see pretty likely since a lot of these Karens were actually quite young. Because of this, we'll just have to wait and see if and when the Karens make a comeback.